thrills and chills of the Halloween season tend to bring out the evil, the malevolent, and the wicked side of our movie palettes. Welcome to the Bark Night Halloween special. From here until October 31st, it's all horror, all the time. Hi everyone, welcome to the Bark Nights podcast Halloween special. So I'm your host, Patrick Bark, and this week with us again we have Dan Carter.
Hello everyone, I'm Dan. I'm back again. I'm a used car salesman for Delaney Ford in Avon, and I'm a lover of horror movies, and I'm excited to talk about some of my favorite horror movies with one of my good friends.
Alright. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about here is that I know that you happen to be a very big fan of werewolf movies.
I love werewolves. They're my favorite monster, without question.
So I figured that was a good place to start this episode. So what I wanted to talk about is, so we can talk about our favorite werewolf movies, but what I want to hear most is your favorite werewolf transformations.
Okay.
Because those have been such a big part of werewolf movies, and it's almost like a rite of passage.
Okay.
That's something that, like, you know, the effects team always should be focusing a lot on. But yeah, tell me about some of your favorite werewolf transformations.
Favorite werewolf transformations, and also probably my favorite werewolf movie is you got to go to the OG, not the OG, but the classic American Werewolf in London.
Yep.
That's the gold standard for probably werewolf movies and werewolf transformations. The fact that they did all that practical effects, I think it was Rick Baker. I don't know if that's, I hope it is Rick Baker. And like, when was that movie put out? Late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, I think it was like 78 or 79.
Yeah, the fact that, like, I watched that movie 2 weeks ago, and it still looks good.
I wanted to watch it last night. Yeah. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Oh, it's fantastic. Even the kind of like zombie effects are pretty good.
I watched Hellraiser the other day, and I think Rick Baker does the effects in that too, actually. Yeah. Really good. He's solid. I love practical effects
because like some of the modern werewolf movies, they get into like the CGI. And CGI doesn't look great usually.
It doesn't. So as long as we're talking about American Werewolf in London, did you ever see an American Werewolf in Paris?
That is I like it.
So I do too, but it's like not good.
No, it's not good.
And the werewolf transformation is 100% CGI. Yeah. And it's also definitely the weakest part of that movie.
That movie's also very much 1999 or whenever it came out. I think they did like a bungee cord off the Eiffel Tower at the beginning or something. Yeah, it's terrible. I know it's terrible. I'll watch it every time someone puts it on. So that's what I mean. Like those kind of 90s like CGI ones. Like there was also that movie with like Christina Ricci.
Cursed,
I believe. Yeah, that's an all CGI werewolf.
And Joshua Jackson.
Yeah, that doesn't look good in that either.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I remember it barely. It's not great, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't recall the werewolf transformations whatsoever. But I recall the plot being like nonsensical and being like, I don't know what they want the tone of this movie to be, and it was just like weird because like it's one of those movies where they try to hide who the bad guy is, but it's like so obvious that you're like,
you don't know who it is. Yeah. And like if it's a werewolf movie and you don't remember the transformations, there's something probably wrong there.
Yeah, I would say so.
But going back to the good ones, I think you watched this movie not too long ago, The Howling.
Yeah.
The Howling has some pretty good ones in it. Especially that one that they're in like a lab and like the one guy, like his skin starts boiling and then like the werewolf stuff starts popping out.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That movie to me was, I've like kind of, I saw it for the first time like a month ago. And I was very surprised at what the movie was. Because it wasn't at all what I expected it to be. But there's like a lot of werewolves in that movie. Like because it's like a whole town of werewolves type thing. Yeah. Bold ending.
Yeah.
Very bold ending.
It has a lot of terrible sequels, that movie. Yeah. I won't get into them.
I'm gonna get to those eventually and we'll see what happens.
I think I've only gone like 2 in, I think. There was one in Australia, I think. It was like called the marsupial, I think. That was it for me. I called it at that point. But so I don't know if it counts as a werewolf movie, but of modern times, do you ever see Trick or Treat?
Yes, I really like Trick or Treat.
Do you remember the werewolf transformation in that, where
I do.
they kind of like tear the skin off and the werewolf stuff's underneath the skin?
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. That's a really good like werewolf transformation, even though it's not like a main part of the movie.
Yeah,
I thought that's a good one. I think.
Yeah, that's one that you don't think that story is a werewolf
I
story.
think it's the serial killer guy still.
Yeah,
The spoilers.
but it was good. Yeah, that was really good. The movie as a whole is very good. I recommend it.
But yeah, in werewolf movies in general, I mean, you got Silver Bullet, the Stephen King werewolf movie with Gary Busey. The werewolf is not great in that, but it's one of my mother's favorite like horror movies, so we watch it every Halloween. Me and her do. And
I really like Silver Bullet. I feel like that is one that they could absolutely remake right now and probably like
do it
kill
better.
with. So in the book that it's based on, I've never read it, but I've read like reviews on it, and I've considered reading it a number of times, and I know what the synopsis is.
Yeah.
So it's different in that it takes place over a long period of time. Like I think it takes place over like a year or something. I haven't read into it
And the movie's
in
like
a long while. But
movie's like a month maybe.
Yeah. So you see the effect that it's having on the town over an extended period of time, and I think that is something that is absolutely like long format television.
So you think like an HBO series, like
HBO series, 100%.
That's not a bad idea.
I've been thinking more and more that somebody out there should be taking Stephen King's entire body of work, because they all intertwine together. Not this story necessarily, but like Salem's Lot is part of the Dark Tower.
Well, and they're all like main-ish, right?
Yeah. And I think that that would be a really cool shared universe for somebody to do. But I think that that Silver Bullet would be a great show. Even if you only got one season out of it, and the season's like 12 episodes long, that's great.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, one episode for each month.
Yeah.
Great. But if you get like 2 or 3 seasons out of it, probably going to be phenomenal. But maybe it won't be, because Stephen King's work has been fairly hit and miss as to how good it is. There's some out there that you're like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And then
when you say how good it is, do you mean
other than Silver Bullet, has Stephen King done any other werewolf?
I'm sure there's something else he's done that's werewolf related, or at least has it pop up in it, but I can't think of it offhand. The man's wrote how many books by this point in time?
Hundreds,
He probably has a book in everything.
Yeah. CGI werewolves.
Van Helsing. That was bad. I'm sorry.
That is not one that I was expecting to hear about during this.
Sorry.
I forget about that.
It's pretty not great.
That movie is terrible.
Yes.
It's very much like that, like we were talking about in the last episode, that period of the 2000s, like the 2008 to 2012 era. Like, it's in there as like the time where people are just like, they're like, CGI is just starting to get good, and everything is CGI. They're like just
everything,
Yeah, everything's CGI. Everything jump scares.
Yeah.
That movie is not a horror movie. It is an action movie with monsters.
Yeah. They were trying franchising it, just didn't pan out.
Yeah. Underworld, though.
Yes, Underworld.
If I recall, they had, as far as CGI werewolf transformations go, they had good ones.
Yeah, I think I haven't watched any of the Underworlds in quite a while, but I do remember that first transformation in like a subway tunnel, I think, because they're kind of aping the Matrix. I think that was pretty good, because there was like that one big dude, and he did because I think it was like CGI, but then there was like a practical werewolf afterwards, maybe. Am I misremembering that?
I don't know,
but that was a pretty good one, pretty good transformation.
Yeah, maybe I'll try and work my way through that one of these days.
The Underworld series.
Yeah.
I find it better use of your time,
but
probably. But werewolf transformations, like one of the worst, because it was the mid-90s, and CGI was just kind of like after Jurassic Park, everyone was using it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this movie called Bad Moon. Have you ever seen it?
I have not.
So it's a movie about a guy who goes to Tibet with his girlfriend because, back in the old timey, like, werewolf mythos, like, Tibet's, like, kind of where they come from. And he gets attacked by a werewolf, girlfriend dies, comes back.
Spoiler.
I'm sorry. If anyone's waiting to watch the 1996 Bad Moon, sorry. And so he comes back, he's staying with his sister, and he's a werewolf now because he got scratched when his girlfriend got attacked. And like, there's a scene where he's transforming, and they do like all the practical effects with like his eyes and his teeth and his ears, and it looks great. And all of a sudden, they just do this like face like melt kind of thing, like with like the anamorph kind of technology, and it is so bad.
Yeah.
The transformation from like him looking cool like that to like the puppet they use afterwards, which looks good too, but that transformation is just like someone's put like Vaseline in the lens, like smushed it, and then like all of a sudden he's a werewolf. It's terrible. But I like Bad Moon, so you get a chance to watch it.
Who's in it? Anybody we know?
No actors you'll know, I don't think.
It is a TNT movie.
It's a T. It was actually a sci-fi channel before sci-fi was a channel.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a shot. One that I know you like and I like as well, that actually like I randomly stumbled upon because my mom was watching it when I went to visit her one time, is Dog Soldiers.
I love Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers is awesome.
If American Werewolf in London isn't my favorite werewolf movie, Dog Soldiers is. And I honestly could probably change it to WoW. I really love that movie.
Yeah, it's Neil Marshall, I believe, the director of The Descent and Doomsday. I believe he did Doomsday as well.
Oh yeah, that movie. Yeah,
Doomsday.
I like
that. Awesome. And he also did the new Hellboy, which I haven't seen, and from everything I hear, it's not good.
Completely forgettable. I watched it and I didn't remember it like the next day.
I heard there was a lot of studio interference, and in all honesty, they didn't need to make that movie. No. They needed to make a third.
Yes, they did.
Guillermo del Toro's movies there and finish off that. But
yeah, he keeps like threatening to do that, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Ron Perlman has said that he's like, I think he said something along the lines, I'm in my 70s. I'll do it, but you got to make it happen soon. But yeah, Dog Soldiers. Dog Soldiers is awesome.
Is there even like a transformation in that movie?
I don't know.
I think there was.
I think there is.
I think there's one. It's not bad. They use definitely like men in like puppets, like not puppets. I'm sorry, men in like suits for like the werewolves, and they look good.
Yeah,
and it's again, that's a cool idea. Like the British Special Forces are out doing a training exercise, come across a pack of werewolves, and they gotta defend themselves in like a farmhouse. I love it.
Yeah, it's got the guy that plays, I can't think of his name, but he plays Alfred on Gotham.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with Sir Davos Seaworth.
Oh, is he in it too?
Yeah. He's the one badge general or whatever.
I always liked him as an actor.
Yeah. But yeah, Dog Soldiers is fantastic. If you haven't seen Dog Soldiers, I don't know how you can watch it without buying it on like DVD, because I don't think it can be streamed because it's British, but give it a watch if you find it.
It's probably playing on the Sci-Fi Channel right now.
Probably right now.
What else we got? Well, we've got alright, taking it way back.
Okay.
Because, I've been working my way through the classic Universal monster movies.
I know where you're going.
You got the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
And the Wolfman is awesome.
It's really good.
It's my favorite of all those, like, classic monsters.
Old ones? Yeah.
Yeah, the transformation is as good as it's going to be.
I think it's pretty good for
being from 1931.
The fact that Lon Chaney had to like lay in that bed and they had to like put like every little hair on his face. I don't know how long that took.
Probably a long time.
Oh, it's good. It is very. You gotta respect the classics. And
yeah,
I think it earns that title. Like it's very good.
Yeah, Lon Chaney Jr. is amazing in it. He's also great in all the other ones that they do, because they do Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, they do Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein and the Wolfman.
I think that's what it's called.
Something along the lines.
I love that movie as a kid.
So do I.
Yeah.
I have it on DVD right now. We could literally watch it right after this.
Let's go watch it. I kind of want to do that.
I also just watched, just this week, the new Wolfman with Benicio del Toro and
That one's a bit divisive. What did you think of it?
Not very good.
I didn't really like it.
it's the thing. Like you ever you're making a dinner, and you get fresh ingredients, and everything's out there, and you're like, this is all. There's no way this isn't going to be good.
Somehow.
I've got Benicio del Toro. I've got Anthony Hopkins. Emily Blunt. Hugo Weaving.
Yes.
So many things. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's all the ingredients of a successful werewolf movie are there. And just somehow it comes together in a movie that's just not that good.
And they let him be violent. Like, they let... When, like, it's like, obviously, the 1940s Wolfman's not uber gory, because that's the time.
Yeah.
But they let this movie be violent, and you figured, like, they should, you know? They should have let it. And, yeah, just somehow, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and the music in it is also very good.
Yeah.
It's Danny Elfman, and I had read, because sometimes I like to, like, read, like, trivia and stuff on all these movies while I watch them. Especially that was not the first time I had seen that either. So, he apparently made this super gothic score for the movie, and the studio was like, we're not using that.
Ugh.
And then they brought somebody else in who made an entirely new score. And then they listened to that and they're like, this is even worse. and so they end up going back to Danny Elfman's score, which is a good score. Mm-hmm. It is good. So that's good. The set design is good. The werewolf transformation is good when they use practical effects. Mm-hmm. But it does that thing where every once in a while they'll have like the final battle. Yeah. When there's like the two werewolves fighting, which is completely unnecessary to be there.
Yeah.
Like in the first movie, you didn't have a villain.
Yeah.
That's the point of the story. Yes. Is Lon Chaney's werewolf is the villain.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a like that's the whole thing of it is like he's a monster and he's trying not to succumb to this beast. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And in this, they're like, no, we need a villain, and it can't be him. So there is a villain. And
even though he just murdered a bunch of people in London.
Yeah. So that part, to me, like, there's so much CGI in the final battle that you're like, you just ruined all the good will you've built through the whole movie.
Maybe the ending's such a dud. I don't remember that movie fondly at all.
Absolute dud.
I remember thinking Anthony Hopkins' performance choices were a bit odd. Like, he just seems disinterested. But, like, you saw, like, I watched behind the scenes, too, and, like, he seems like he's into it. Like, he likes what's going on, but, like, his performance is just like, oh, yes, this is what's happening now. And it's just weird, you know what I mean?
It's weirdly sinister, too. Like, that's another one where, like, you can
clearly
tell
know
from the beginning, you're like, this guy's the bad guy.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
The get-go.
And you keep thinking they're going to subvert your expectations. No. They do not.
No, they gave Anthony Hopkins money to do this.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what his plan was, is to be, like, off-putting with his weird delivery of everything, but every time he talked, I was just like, oh my god, please stop.
Yeah, and it could also be the editing too. So
that's true.
The editing in it is, and I noticed from like right off the bat. So they have this weird little scene at the beginning where a guy gets killed by a werewolf, and then even just the way it cuts from that scene to bringing up the title is like, oh my god, like this is the editing I'm gonna have to watch through this whole thing, and so like it's just not put together very well.
I agree, and it's long too, if I remember correctly.
Longer than it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
the first one's only like an hour and 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's quick. It's a little snappy little pace.
Yeah.
I had a friend who recently watched that movie for the first time and loved it.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I guess people out there will like it, but I didn't like it. It's I don't know. It's just, to me, it's like it's uneven. Mm. You know. So,
have you going back to like more modern times? Have you seen Wolf of Snow Hollow?
Yes. The Werewolf of Snowy Hollow is. I loved it.
I thought it was very good. Is that a werewolf movie though?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I won't spoil it, but I could see someone saying it not being a werewolf movie, but I think it totally is because that's the way it's framed.
Yeah.
The whole movie. Okay. I thought that's great. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
Yeah.
I watched it once. I think I caught it streaming somewhere and immediately bought it because I enjoyed that quite a bit. So modern times, that one's really good.
It has an interesting parallel in it too about alcoholism and how like he's fighting his own monster the whole time.
Yeah, and then like he also sees the guilt from the victims of the werewolf.
The only thing I think could be done better in that movie is like the tone gets a little weird at parts.
Every now and then,
yeah,
it gets like sharp.
Robert Forster's final part, though, I believe, in that movie.
Yeah, he passed away, I think, when they were...
Of alligator fame.
Yes. Coming all back around. I think, yeah. I think he had passed away, like, while they were filming or right afterwards, because, like, in the movie, he's kind of just gone all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's unfortunate.
I'm just going to say, Alligator was on TV yesterday when I was flipping through the channels. I didn't watch it, but I was very tempted. I was like, here it is. It's right here.
My one friend watched the podcast, and she's like, what's Alligator? So I just pulled up the trailer, like the terrible 80s trailer. We watched that one. We watched afterwards.
Yeah.
And she's like, that looks terrible. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we watched that, and we watched Grizzly 2, The Revenge, with John Rhys Davies. You got a devil bear.
You got a devil bear.
You got a devil bear.
But yeah, sticking with the more modern movies, Werewolf Within. Did you watch that?
No. So every time I go to watch that, it's not free anymore. And I'm like, not paying this. Or not paying for this. And then, like, I'll see it randomly pop up and be like, well, like, I swear, like, every couple of weeks it ends up going to Prime.
It does.
Or something. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's back. All right. I'll get this. And then when I finally do go to watch it, like, a week later, it's gone again. It's a
very enjoyable, like, werewolf kind of, like, that's got comedy elements to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. I suggest that one. I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's worth your time, I think.
All right. But yeah, I think that's enough on werewolf stuff for now. So the next topic I wanted to discuss is horror video games.
All right.
So what do you got?
So the thing about like horror video games is that they benefit from not being a 2-hour thing. Like a good horror game's like what, 10 hours? So you get like more time to like get engaged with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say my favorite horror video game of all time is Dead Space. It's a movie where you're...
It's not a movie.
I'm sorry. It's a video game where you are It's not a movie yet. Hopefully someday. It's a video game where you are an engineer, and you go to the spaceship where your girlfriend is. And when you get there, it's all derelict, and everyone's missing, and like, there's no crew available. And it turns out they were taken over by this entity that turns them into like zombie-like kind of creatures with like razor-sharp appendages. And you just try to survive and craft things to make yourself stronger, like new suits and new weapons and such. And you try to just make it out of the ship, without going crazy and without being murdered by the necromorphs, which is the name of the aliens, I guess you would call them. And it's fantastic. Have you ever played it?
I have not, actually. And I was thinking about, so the other day I was looking at, they have like 2 or 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to like...
like anime ones? Like, yeah, okay.
And I was going to watch those, but then
those.
I didn't think they looked good, so I didn't.
I've never watched those. I imagine they're not good. I've never heard anything good about them. So.
That's as close as I've gotten. I watched the trailer for all 3, and I was like, not doing that.
It can't be that expensive. You probably get it on PlayStation Store for like $5-10 probably.
Maybe.
You're like, no. They're doing a remake of it. It's getting remade for PS5, but I don't have a PS5.
And neither do I.
So that's nothing.
No, but I have not played it, but it sounds awesome. The premise of it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Are there any movies you would compare it to?
Maybe a tad, just a tad, like Event Horizon.
That's what I was thinking. A little bit. And that's probably just because Event Horizon takes place in space, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of the only space horror movies.
And like there's like creatures and such, and like maybe a little bit like Alien, not Aliens too, because like they're in the vents, and you can hear noises behind you, and they'll pop out of the vent and attack you.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I think it needs to come back, and I'm glad it's coming back.
Yeah, and so interestingly, I had just sent you that news article
about
the other day.
John Carpenter?
Yeah, John Carpenter said that he would love to make a Dead Space movie. And John Carpenter hasn't made like any movie in so long. Like,
I'm on board for it.
I would love to see him get like a proper budget.
Yeah.
And doing something
you would
like
need
that.
You would need a lot of money.
Did you ever see Ghosts of Mars that he did?
Long time ago.
Not a lot of budget to that movie, but it's good. Like I really like it. So it's got
Eminem, right?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Ice Cube.
Okay.
Maybe.
Same thing. Completely different.
Absolutely not. Jason Statham is in it.
Is he really?
Yeah. Ice Cube, Jason Statham. Natasha, the woman from Species.
Oh. You said Natasha, and I was thinking it's Romanoff, and I know that's wrong. I can't get past it. Henstring?
Natasha Henstridge?
Henstring? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's that woman, yeah.
Solid cast. Oh, and the woman from Jackie Brown.
Oh, Pam Grier?
Yes, Pam Grier's in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's, and she was in the Escape from, I think she was only in Escape from LA. She might have been in Escape from New York, but I don't think so. But she's good. She seems to enjoy working with John Carpenter. And the soundtrack to it, great as always. Anyways.
Yeah. They do a Dead Space movie. They don't need like a big cast. You just need like one guy and then like spend less money on like the monsters and like the ship.
Well, you have to have other cast members because the monsters have to kill people.
That's true.
You need red shirts.
That's true. I don't want to spoil the game. Well, it's been out forever, but there is a part in the beginning where there's more crew members and then suddenly there's only a couple of them, so you can do that and then just have the other characters kind of be like in the game where like they talk to you through like the headset and try to like tell you what's going on and then get in trouble and go try to save them.
And you don't.
It could. I mean, you save some of them.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes.
So do you think that would be better as a movie or a show? Sounds like a movie.
I think it's a movie because like the game is like a lot of like you going through empty corridors and having the fear of something getting you. So I don't know if you can like stretch that over. I think it's movie. It's movie.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie.
Movie sized.
So one that I have, Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, yes.
Silent Hill, I feel like is the go-to because it goes all the way back. Like, did they do any horror movies before like PlayStation?
Horror games.
Yeah, horror games before PlayStation.
There was Alone in the Dark. I think was like a point and click one way back for like.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Terrible.
Awful.
Yes.
Complete piece of trash.
Move past it.
Yeah. But Silent so bad. Okay. Bad video game adaptions. It's like House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark.
All the same director.
Yeah, who is it?
Weeble.
Oh my god, he's done so many of those bad ones.
If you're gonna bring up,
too.
Yeah, he did. In the Name of the King, terrible. Jason Statham again.
Yeah, he's done a lot of bad movies. I am aware of him. I don't think I remembered that he did House of the Dead.
So
though.
do you think Silent Hill would be able to be a TV series?
I think it could be if you wanted it to. So it's. I mean, they stretched it into 2 movies, and I like both of those movies.
I think they're pretty good for what they come from. Like like the whole video game movie.
Yeah.
Thing.
Well, and Silent Hill was like roughly based on the movie Jacob's Ladder from the 80s, and that movie is very off-putting. The first game, so I haven't played all of the Silent Hill games, but I played like the first like 2 or 3, and they are so creepy. Like the atmosphere of those games is what horror is made of.
Did you know they did like a remake of them? They did like a remaster, and like they took out all the fog
Really?
for some reason. So like you're just running through this town, and then like the fog's not there to like obscure the PS1 graphics, and it not good. Like it just completely kills the atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere, like that's so much of it. It reminds me of like Jacob's Ladder, Phantoms. Phantoms is great, and it has that same sort of atmosphere to it. You go to a town. Nobody is anywhere, but you randomly stumble across people here and there, and it's got that same sort of creepy atmosphere. That movie's good. Ben Affleck, Liev Schreiber.
I like that movie.
Yeah,
there's a couple of actresses in there. I can't paste their names now, but it's a solid movie.
Isn't Rose McGowan?
Yeah, she's in that.
One of them. And I don't recall the other one.
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good movie. I haven't seen that in many years, but I like that.
Yeah, but Silent Hill is probably my go-to when it comes to video game horror.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of Until Dawn?
I don't know.
So it's like like those choose your own adventure books as a kid. It's like that as a game where like you go through and the story and like you kind of it's not really like a game. It's kind of like an interactive kind of story. And like you do certain things to take the story one way or another, and it can lead to either like a character dying or a character living. And then if that character dies, then the story goes off a different path. It's worth your time if you haven't tried that. I think it might have been free recently on PlayStation.
I was gonna say like it rings a bell, but I have no idea what it is.
Give it.
So maybe I own it, and it's just one of those billions
you own it,
that I haven't played.
take a look. I'd say play it. I liked it. I had a good time with it. It's got like a Wendigo story. I said that wrong.
Yes, you did.
How do you say that word?
Wendigo.
There we go. That word.
What is the one game where it's like, so Friday the 13th is a game where you there's like 4 survivors and one person gets to play.
It's fun.
Jason, but there's another game that's that exact setup, except you can like switch out the serial killer.
That's Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. That game is fun.
It is. You can get the right group of friends together to play it. It's a great time. I've only gotten to play it a few times with like people I know. I don't like playing with randos.
Yeah. I mean, so like, especially in a game like that, because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And the computers are useless.
Yeah.
If you are playing with computers, you are going to lose.
Yeah.
But yeah,
by computers he means AI.
Yeah. The whole premise of this game is that you have 4 survivors and they're trying to get these puzzles or they have some sort of objective.
Generators working.
Yeah, get the generators working, set traps, things like that. And while that is happening, while they're setting that up, a different serial killer or monster is released into this habitat, and you have to complete the objectives and then escape. And Jason or
they got all kinds of licensed monsters in. They got Jason. Not Jason. They got Michael Myers. They got the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. They got Scream Face's Ghostface. They got the girl from The Ring. Leatherface is in there. And of course, you got buy all those guys. But if you wanted to be like that character, that game fills in. They also have their own original characters. Like there's the classic, like a clown and like a witch doctor woman, I think. And it's got more than I've mentioned. I think it's got the guy from Saw, with the pig mask. I think he's in it. But yeah, it has, especially because they keep adding to that game. It's got a lot. It can do whatever you want. You go run around and kill your friends as Ghostface. Like that's fun, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that game too. We should play it. We definitely should.
We should. I mean, this is the time of year to play something like that.
Yeah.
What else we got? The Resident Evil games.
Resident Evil series. I played Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was one of my favorite games forever. And then they did a remake and they cut out a lot of the game and it made me sad.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna remake a game, remake the game. Dude, give me the whole game. Don't take out the cemetery scene because you don't want to do the CGI buzzard for the giant worm or something. You know, that bummed me out. The remake, especially after Resident Evil 2 remake was so good.
That's another one that I own that I've never played.
Yeah.
I literally I didn't get it for free. I went out and bought it.
You went out and
bought it. Literally never played it.
It's definitely worth your time. I think you should give it a shot.
I know. Well, I'm still working on 2 different Resident Evils. I think
5?
5 and 6. I'm working on the solo one, and then we are working on the co-op one.
When's the last time you played that?
I don't know, but we should.
We need to do that. It's been months.
Those are good. All those games are good. I don't think there's a bad Resident Evil game.
6.
Yeah? Which one is that?
It's the one after 5.
Oh. Alright, enough about Resident Evil. Also, very middling movies.
Yeah. I remember going to the theater and liking Apocalypse a lot, and then buying it.
Have you rewatched it?
And not liking it at all.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's bad.
I remember liking it too, and I remember I was surprised when Adam was like, "Oh, that movie's garbage." And then, I went back and watched it recently, and I was like, "That is in fact garbage."
It is in fact garbage. He's right.
This is not a good movie. It's like something happened between. It's the same director too.
Yeah.
What happened? I don't know.
I don't know.
The third one I feel like is decent.
Which one's that?
The desert one.
That's okay. That one's watchable.
Yeah.
The two that came after that are not good.
No, for the rest of it, it's just.
And then there's that whole thing with the stunt woman and what happened to her.
Oh yeah,
brutal.
Well, and they do that thing too. It gets the Matrix effect after that, where all of a sudden they stop being horror movies and they start just being Matrix style action movies.
They literally rip the scene where Trinity jumps out the window directly into one of those Resident Evil sequels, and it's just not good.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a good game.
Yes, that'd be horror related too.
Yeah.
Or even Demon Souls, I guess.
Yeah, so you've got werewolves, you've got a Victorian era, I think, city with just a lot of creepy stuff happening.
Definitely kind of like a gothic
tone
to it.
Yeah, that game's a lot of fun. Also, it's impossible. I've played like a lot of that game, and I haven't made it very far.
I played a bit of it too, and I haven't made far either.
Just an unbelievably difficult game.
Yeah, and like unless you have someone who like mainlined it and like just are overpowered, you can like summon him into your game and then let him do it. That's not fun, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it too is like the fun of the game is like figuring this stuff out. So I'm not like looking up like how to get through these spots. I'm just painstakingly dying over again.
Yeah, same. And that's probably not the. Well, I guess that's the way to play a game.
That's the way to play a game. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any other horror?
No, I mentioned the two that I want to talk about. I think. Yeah.
All right. Horror comedies. Let's talk about those.
Love them. I do. I think if you're going to go horror comedies, I think the standard now, the classic of our time, is Shaun the Dead.
It is.
I think that movie is something that is a Halloween time must watch.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think it hits enough of the horror elements to keep you engaged. The whole scene with his mom, oof. And like it's funny, and it's got that British dry humor I love. And it made the song "Don't Stop Me Now" popular for some reason.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. I think it's the best of the genre.
It also has practical effects.
Yeah.
Done very well.
Very well.
And it balances the humor and the drama very well, which I think is so important in these movies.
Yeah.
So that it truly does seem like a horror movie at some parts, but then some of it are like over the top, like comedy.
Like one of the most understated jokes in that movie, which got me for some reason last time I watched it, is like when they go to get Sean's mom and stepdad, and Ed has the car. And like he sees the Jag and he's like, "Oh, I'll be out here," and then they come back outside and he crashed it into a tree or something, and then he's like, "Guess we gotta take the Jag." And I don't know why, but it just killed me. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like what. So Simon Pegg had been in a number of movies before that, but that's like the one that got him famous. Yeah, that's an absolute classic. For me, I think one of my favorites is Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
So the first one is probably one of the best horror comedies ever made. It has so many things going for it. Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd.
Isn't the dad from Family Matters and also Die Hard? I can't think of his name right now, and I'm sad about it.
Yeah.
He's the cop in that too.
He's the cop that is
in the jail cells, right?
Yeah, when they get thrown in jail by like the mayor or whatever.
This is throwing you off topic. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just love that guy.
The father from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis is in it. Yeah, there's so many good things in that movie. The second one is good, but it's not as good. I never saw the remake, but I did see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that. Like it definitely was a nostalgia bait movie, but I was here for it. I thought they did it very well.
Yeah, and
plus Paul Rudd, come on.
Yeah, Paul Rudd's great, and it balances. That's another one. The new one balances the drama and the comedy, so that all of it is believable. It's not like a hard comedy, you know. It's more like a horror drama with comedic elements. It's all believable comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly, when you told me about horror comedies, Ghostbusters didn't even pop into my brain, but it definitely is. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a very good one, I would say. Have you ever seen Tucker and Dale vs. Evil?
That is on my list.
Is it? Oh my! I love that movie. It's fantastic. I just watched it like 2 nights ago, and I'm like, I love this movie.
For the first time?
No, I saw it years ago. Remember liking it, and then I randomly came across it on Amazon Prime. I'm like, try that, and it's fantastic.
It is so good. Alan Tudyk is one of my favorite actors. Oh, yeah. He's so good in almost everything he does. Yeah, that one is like, it's very over the top. Yeah, but it's great. Yeah. I recommend. I've not seen anybody that's watched it that didn't like it.
Even Trav liked it.
It's good.
I can't think of what else to say about it other than if you haven't seen that one, go watch that one.
Yeah, I recommend anybody see it. Not a lot of people have seen that movie.
It should be watched,
but everybody I know who has enjoyed it. So if you haven't seen it, go see it.
I agree.
Beetlejuice.
Yes, that's another one. Definitely more towards the comedy era, but there is definitely the horror to it.
Michael Keaton is so good in this movie. It shocks me that they never made another one.
It worries me that they're going to. Be honest with you, it's like at this point, like let's be honest, decade old like sequels, not a great track record.
No, they're not. And I mean, Tim Burton's not really making the quality of movies that he used to anymore either. But
yeah, Beetlejuice is fantastic.
I'll watch it.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. I feel like the tone of that movie too. It's so unique that movie should not have been successful. You know what I mean?
It was.
But they had toys, they had cartoons, everything based off of that.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters too. Toys, cartoons, all of it.
Yeah. The real Ghostbusters. Yeah, that was a cartoon series I loved as a kid.
Yeah, me too. I had all the VHS of it.
Did you? That's fantastic.
Yeah. Addams Family, also Tim Burton.
Was that Tim Burton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of them.
Oh my God. Raul Al Julia, right? Gomez Adams?
Raul Julia.
Okay. Yeah, he's great. It's unfortunate what happened to him.
Yeah.
But he's been everything I've ever seen him in. He's great as. So
he's great in both of those. Christina Ricci is great in those.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the trailer for Wednesday, the new Netflix series about Wednesday Addams, and I knew that Christina Ricci was going to be in it. And then I watched the trailer and realized she's not playing an older version of Wednesday, and I was like,
wait, why not?
I don't know. She's playing just a completely different character.
Just have her be like grown up Wednesday as the mom.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Was it was going to be like telling the story in flashbacks. And then I realized they just recast her, and that's that. You know,
it's weird.
Yeah, not happy about it, but I'll still watch it because it does look good.
Yeah,
Jenna Ortega looks like she's doing a good job in it. She was good in Scream.
That's true.
5.
She was in that movie X. I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen that?
I have not, but I'd like to. It's on my list.
On my list as well.
Young Frankenstein. That movie is so good.
That's killer. The put in the Ritz scene.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep. It's Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm. Gene Wilder.
Yeah, Gene Wilder. So good. Who plays the monster?
Oh, he was also in a TV series for a long time, like Peter something. When I hear it, I'm gonna be mad. I don't remember it, but yeah, he's great in that. He passed away, unfortunately. I think, unfortunately, like a lot of people in the movie are gonna be gone.
Yeah. The only one I wanted to mention, because it's got so many comedic elements, but it's absolutely not a comedy, is The Cabin in the Woods.
I was gonna say, do you consider that a comedy?
I don't.
I don't either.
But
there is some funny parts to it.
There are some very funny parts. Just like the scene we were talking about the other day, where he walks in and sees that she's got books. He's like, "Who told you about these? Where did you find these?" And she's like, "I learned it from you," and runs away.
And then, like, he gives her like the whole thing about like that book she was reading. She got a relationship with the professor, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like he's like telling her like to read this like book, and then like he's like, "And you have no pants on."
Or the merman.
Yeah.
At the end, like, that's pretty funny, and that's like a joke that like they worked on through the course of the movie.
And he's laying there, he's like, "Oh, come on,
come on." Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely comedy elements that I would not say it's a comedy though.
No, it's not. It's a wholly unique horror movie that I figured was at least worth bringing up here.
Oh, it's classic. Absolutely, I think it's a classic, and because it has those comedic elements.
But yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to talk for horror comedies. Did you have any other ones?
Werewolf Within. I think you need to give that a watch. That's got some comedy elements to me. I find that it was really enjoyable. So, like, if you've been on the fence about that, as you said, give it a watch. There's comedy elements to it. There's horror to it. It's probably more towards comedy and like kind of like over the top. You got to watch it. So I would say Werewolf Within, very good horror comedy. And the genre, my brain just can't really think of anything else offhand.
I think that's good with me. We talked about a lot of them. Okay, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about the best and worst remakes.
Okay.
What do you have for that?
I would say best remakes. I would say the Freddy Alvarez Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Where because Evil Dead, that could have been horror comedy. We could have talked about that. It had
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. Yes, that's fantastic. But it had campy comedy to it. The Freddy Alvarez one is absolutely a horror movie, and it's really good. So
the first Evil Dead is like straight horror. The second is basically a
remake of the
comedy remake.
Yeah.
And then Army of Darkness is like straight.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I would say that's one of the better ones. I would say for the worst,
way better than anybody ever expected.
Way better than anybody expected. And I thought I'm annoyed there wasn't a sequel or a follow up on it, especially with the Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, I heard that they were going to do like a crossover with the girl from that and Ash.
Well, he shows up at the end of at the credits.
Does he?
Yeah, he's like sits there and he's like groovy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Looks at the camera and nothing yet. I hope so. Fingers crossed for that. Worst, and you know me. Even if I'm watching a movie I don't like, I usually finish it. I watched the Poltergeist remake.
Oh my god, that was going to be one of mine.
It's so bad, I turned it off.
It is awful.
I turned it off.
There's no redeeming qualities of that movie.
It's garbage.
It's 100% just commercial horror.
Yeah, it's bad.
With nothing good about it.
And the first Poltergeist is a very good movie.
It's so good.
You should watch that. But
so
bad.
Interestingly, I was looking at that the other day, and it's PG.
Ugh. Oh, the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
How?
Well, so it's in that time before PG-13 was a thing that existed, and it didn't warn R. So it was either PG or R.
So why Jaws is PG?
Yeah. I was watching Ghostbusters the other day, and I did a little bit of research. Ghostbusters came out in June of, I forget exactly what year, but it's like 1984, I want to say. And in July is when
the PG-13
became a thing.
That would have been
so there's a lot of things in Ghostbusters that are like very dirty jokes, and you're like, how is this PG? And it's like the same thing. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Have you seen the remake of Ghostbusters? As long as we're talking about that,
the girl one.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. Like a lot of people despise that movie. I didn't think it was good. Don't get me wrong. I think it was anything special, but it's watchable. Like I don't know what the disdain people have for it. It's stupid, I think, but it's watchable. Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I will say that it did rub me the wrong way. That they didn't just place it in the same universe as the old ones. Like the original cast is in it, but playing alternate versions.
Yeah.
That I was just like, why?
Yeah.
Because that's not what they did with Afterlife.
No.
They were like, oh, we'll just have them play old versions of their characters. Mm-hmm. Boom.
Yeah. I really did enjoy Afterlife.
Yeah, Afterlife's really good.
Did you think of a remake you really liked?
A remake that I really like is, so what I think is the top tier remake, The Thing.
I was gonna bring that up, yeah.
The Thing is one of my, so like all these things have spawned off from it. Toys, there was the Thing video game. They had a remake that was awful.
The Thing board game?
The Thing board game. Yeah, all of these things. But The Thing is so good. It's John Carpenter at his best. The score, amazing. Kurt Russell, great. Keith David,
fantastic.
So good.
Yep. So that, because like I know what's
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah, Wilford Brimley.
Dark British.
It's not fair.
Dark British.
So like, you know, like I know that it's technically a remake, but it's so much different than was it Vincent Price?
I don't think so.
I'm thinking The Tingler. Never mind. That's a different movie.
I don't know what that is.
Moving on. So it's a movie. So yeah, that thing. The Thing is that's definitely top tier. Like we said, Shaun of the Dead's top tier horror comedy. The Thing's a top tier horror remake, I'd say.
It shocks me that they tried to make a remake of it. Well, it's not a remake; it's a prequel, but it's still called The Thing. So I
don't like that. You should have like how the board game did, like to be The Thing, this outpost.
Yeah,
easy enough, done. And like, I hate the fact that like there's like they use practical effects, but a studio went in apparently. Have you heard this? And they went in and like CGI'd it.
Yep.
Just don't do that.
Yeah, and the other thing is that that's what they could have called it, The Other Thing.
Why not? Better than just The Thing.
Yeah. So part of the mystery with the original is not knowing who is an alien.
Mm-hmm.
having no idea and finding out at the last second, or people have gone back over the years and been like, okay, because even by the end of the movie, there's still characters that you don't know whether they were an alien or not.
Do you think Childs was an alien at the end?
Well, so there's two different theories there, and this goes into spoiler territory. So in the movie, a lot of people say that what Kurt Russell hands him at the end is actually a Molotov cocktail, and because the alien doesn't know what whiskey tastes like, when you see him take a sip, it's actually a sign that he's an alien, because they wouldn't have had whiskey just sitting around by that point anymore. But one interesting thing is the video game, which I played all the way through and is so good, and John Carpenter has said counts as canon.
Nice.
Is that Childs is in it, and he's dead, but he's a human. So you come across that spot, and Kurt Russell's character's not there, but Childs is like shot in the head. So, but then Kurt Russell shows up at the end and like saves the day for your character.
Spoilers.
Well, nobody's, if this game came out in like 2005. So if you go by the game, then Kurt Russell lives. Childs was human but died. I don't know that it actually, I know he said that at the time, but I guarantee they paid him to say that. They're like, if we give you $10,000, will you say this is canon? And then he's like, you got it.
I like money.
Yeah.
I think there's someone else, they said that what happened there with the drink, and then also apparently there's a scene where you don't see his breath, which could just be, movie magic or something. But yeah. I've always kind of leaned towards him being a thing at the end, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Maybe they'll just sit there and see what happens.
Yeah. So I gotta try this game.
You should try it.
I wonder if you can get it on PlayStation with the backwards compatibility stuff.
That's now. So he's talked about the fact that John Carpenter, that Prince of Darkness, and in the Mouth of Madness.
There's two different things.
Yeah. So
Mouth of Madness is like a
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah,
book.
That's Mountain of Madness.
Yeah, Mountain of Madness is the book.
Yeah.
Mouth of Madness is
movie, I think.
Yeah. So those three movies, John Carpenter has said, are part of his Apocalypse trilogy because they're about the end of the world.
Okay.
That includes The Thing.
Okay.
So I think I like the idea of them building off of this. He said he wants to do a sequel to it. I would love so much if he did, because I think the video game showed that there's some pretty cool things that can come off of this. Mm-hmm. So there was other outposts in that area, and basically it's spread through everywhere. A cool thing about the video game is that you've got a trust meter. Mm-hmm. And you'll be talking to people, and if you do something weird, or you're walking around too much, you can see the meter going up, and if it hits the end, the person attacks you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
you can test people to see if they're an alien, because you've got the blood tests and everything.
Like the board game.
Yeah, and so you can, I think as a limited series, 6 episodes, HBO, something like that.
Practical effects,
yeah. I think that could be something that you could really get a little bit more mileage off of, but it's got to hit those things. It's got to have the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's got to have the score. It's got to have the practical effects.
Well, if you say it was Apocalypse series, I mean, it's very contained how the Thing story ends in the movie, the original one. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you had the prequel in there, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's driving around in a Arctic somewhere, I think, right?
Yep.
So I don't know how you can make that an apocalypse unless they get off of Antarctica.
Well, you could keep it still contained to there, mm-hmm. and then just have the alien win at the end. And you see that they're about to travel to the mainland.
New York or something. Okay.
You don't have to show that, and I would rather they didn't.
Well, just yeah.
Part of I think the atmosphere of the movie is the isolation.
Okay.
So I think they should stick to that. And I wouldn't want to see the big blockbuster version of that where New York City's got these things, Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to see that.
These things.
Yeah. Okay. Terrible remake. Oh no, a good remake is The Crazies. Have you seen that?
I was going to bring that up. That is one of my one of the better ones, I think. I think it's an underrated movie, too.
Yeah, totally underrated.
People don't really talk about that one. It's great. It's got
Timothy Olyphant.
Timothy Olyphant, yeah. Timothy Elephant. Love him.
You know why I think that's a good remake? Because I've never seen the original, but everybody tells me it's not very good. And those are the movies you should be remaking.
Exactly.
You know,
Make the bad movies again.
Remake a masterpiece. Yeah. You're not going to get lightning in the bottle twice.
Remake something that was bad but had a good idea.
Yeah.
That's what you remake.
Yeah.
You don't remake the thing.
Yeah. You don't make Jurassic Park 3, you know?
There's a good idea there.
I don't even think there is, but I mean, Jurassic, you know my point.
I do.
What else do you have?
For remakes, I mean, we talked about The Wolfman already. I was going to say that was a disappointment more than anything.
Yeah.
Good ones, I mean, part of me wants to talk about like the legacy remakes they tried to do there for a little while with The Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, where they just weren't good movies. They just missed. Like, they made Freddy, they had what's his name from The Watchmen play him, and his face, I know they tried to like make him look more burned than like the Robert Englund look, give him his own look kind of, but they make him do like a child toucher and stuff, and it's not good. And then like the Jason one, they made Jason to like kind of like a survivalist kind of guy, like he's faster now and he sets traps and everything. That's interesting. I was there for that. And then the acting's so bad and like the pacing's weird and it's just not good.
It was interesting that they cast Jared Padalecki in that too.
Yeah.
In the height of Supernatural fame, because it's like that's kind of what the movie turns into at that point. Is an episode of Supernatural.
A bit, yeah. Yeah, because they go looking for his sister, like, right, at the camp or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, that was a forgettable movie.
Yeah. I did like the idea of making Jason to, like, kind of like the survivalist, like, showing that, like, he sets traps. He's, like, living in the woods. Like, it kind of, like, makes sense to them. Just, like...
I don't recall that whatsoever.
You don't?
No.
Oh, don't worry about it. But, yeah, they're not going to go anywhere with that, so...
Yeah.
I would say those two legacy sequels sucked, and
one for me that I've always kept in mind is The Omen. And I don't think it's...
The Julia Stiles one?
Yeah, okay. Julia Stiles, Liev Schreiber. And the only reason being because it's almost a shot-for-shot remake of the original. And that I take issue with. Because it's not original whatsoever. You know, I think the best remakes are when somebody takes them and makes them their own idea, and they show that they had a reason to do it. Why did you do it to The Omen if you're just going to recreate shots like people have done videos on this on YouTube, shot for shot, almost exactly the same. Why do it at that point?
You shouldn't. That's not original, as you said. It's just rehashing old stuff, and it's not even like well, it's not creative, obviously. You're just
lazy.
Yeah, it's easy. You're just trying to cash in on the IP at that point.
Yeah.
And you saying that triggered my brain to remember the Psycho remake.
Yeah.
With Vince Vaughn. That is basically another shot-for-shot remake and absolutely not worth no one's time. And Vince Vaughn, I think, tries a little bit, but he's not given much to work with because he's trying to play the old Norman Bates, and it's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's a bad remake.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Any other ones?
I can't think of anything offhand. I know there's, as soon as we stop talking about this, I'm going to think of like 10 more, but...
Yeah.
Because they remake everything, and usually it's not good.
Yeah. No, I don't really have anything else either.
Like they're going to be making a remake of one of my favorite...
We could literally do an entire episode just on remakes. So we could talk for 2 hours, but...
Did you ever see Train to Busan, the Korean zombie movie?
Yeah, that's really good.
They're gonna make.
I never saw Peninsula though.
It's bad.
That's what I also.
It's very disappointing. They're gonna do an Americanized version of it. I don't have any hope in it.
What's it going to be called?
I don't know. Train to Miami.
Train to Boston.
It's gonna be bad. I think like Spike Lee was involved last I knew.
Oh, so not a horror movie, but a Spike Lee remake is Old Boy. It's like damn near a horror movie.
Yeah.
But different kind of horror. That's a bad remake.
That's a bad remake. It's got a good cast too, but just bad.
Yeah, it's bizarre. The decisions that were made that went into that. But it's absolutely a movie that should not be made because the original is a masterpiece.
Yeah. And if you're going to make a remake, you could have cut the one thing out, that was kind of
I know they like adjust it a little bit, but like I think that twist is like what makes it as controversial, and it makes it what it is. You know,
Yeah.
You cut that out, and I mean, there's so many weird things about that movie. It's a very strange movie, and it's part of this. That's a trilogy too, but the 3 movies aren't connected at all. But there's like certain things that are just so bizarre about that movie, but they are what make it what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can take any of those out. But it's just a movie that I don't think anybody should try to remake.
No.
You know?
The original Old Boy is what it is, and go watch that. Don't see the remake.
Yeah, it's bad. Okay. So one final movie I wanted to talk about that is a remake that is so it rounds it out. It's so bad that it's good.
Ooh, okay.
The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage.
That's not fair because you love Nicolas Cage. So.
I do love Nicolas Cage. It is such a bad movie, but it is so bad that it's good.
I remember watching it. I don't. My brain just cut it out.
If you hate watch it, you'll love it. No, not the bees.
Not the bees. The bears. And that's a meme. I've seen that thing 100 times. I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. So that the final nail for the remakes conversation is The Wicker Man. It is so bad it's good.
Okay.
And Nicolas Cage has a lot of movies that are so bad they're good, but this one really does take the cake.
All right, I might watch it sometime soon.
You should. Okay, so that's all I have for topics for general horror. But what I wanted to do is finish off the episode with news and reviews.
Okay.
So I wanted to start off by talking about the movie Barbarian, which I saw at the theater a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's opening weekend, actually. It's very good.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So I recommend people to see this and not see anything, going completely blind.
I've only seen like one trailer, I think.
The trailer that I saw didn't give very much away.
Okay.
I think it's best to see without knowing much about it. So it's not about at all what I thought it was going to be, and it's hard to tell what it is going to be about or what the sinister forces at work are. Like, it takes half the movie to figure out what's actually going on. And even at that point, so like things really shift gears halfway through the movie, and you're like, oh, this is what this is.
Okay.
And it unravels further and further and further for the second half of it. But the first half is literally just like a little mystery box that you're trying to work out what's going on. And that, to me, for any fan of horror, is something that I think a lot of people really do enjoy doing.
Okay.
So I highly recommend it.
It sounds like it's up my alley.
It also is a movie that I think is going to be somewhat divisive amongst people as more people see it. I don't see it as a movie that everybody will like, especially because you don't know what you're getting into when you go.
Will I like it?
I think you will.
Okay. Give it a watch.
So, highly recommend. Give it a watch. It's one that's similar. Like, I don't think that the movies aren't similar at all, but did you see Malignant last year?
I have not seen Malignant.
So you should see that. That's another one that marketing really described it as a different movie than it actually is.
Okay.
It does not look like a good movie. But what you realize as you watch it is about halfway through, it shifts into a different kind of movie. And you're like, oh my God, this is what this movie is. This is bonkers. This is crazy. And it's one of those two that, like, I don't think everybody's going to like. I love it.
Okay, I got that. I've been meaning to give that one a watch. I just somehow avoided it, but
I watched it twice in one weekend.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, because like it reveals as it reveals itself, you're like, oh my God, this changes everything I've seen up until this point.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. It was probably my favorite horror movie of last year.
Very cool. Okay, I'll have to get that a watch then. It's been on my list. I just haven't pushed the button on it yet because it's on HBO Max. So
watch it.
I'll watch it. Okay.
I think you'll enjoy it. So that's very good. Barbarian's very good. Have you watched Werewolf by Night yet?
I have watched Werewolf by Night.
What'd you think about it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I liked the tone. I obviously love the character. You know, Marvel Comics, Werewolf. That's my jam. And I was so excited for it. I was so worried about being let down that when it didn't let me down, I almost felt like a sense of relief. You know.
Yeah.
But it was like I wanted more. I will say that. But I think that's what they want to do. They want to give you like a little teaser, kind of bring into this world a little bit of the monsters and such. it definitely had a lot more Elsa Bloodstone in it than I expected, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
I think she did Elsa very well too.
Definitely hit the snarky kind of British ness of her, which was cool. Can we talk about the other character that shows up, or is that too much of a spoiler?
Yeah, I think you can. So I guess minor spoilers. If you want, I would just skip this whole section if you plan on watching Werewolf by Night and you haven't yet.
But anyways, like Man Thing, when Man Thing shows up,
he's in the trailer.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? For like a second.
Yeah.
Like you can miss it. So I don't know if it's spoiler, but anyways,
I did miss it.
When he shows up, I'm like, oh hell yes, and like he looks good, and they kind of hit like the whole like kind of like sadness to him a little bit. They hit on that.
Yeah.
And when for the first time he uses his power, I mean that's exactly what I wanted. That was
awesome.
my spice. Yeah.
Yeah. He just like melts this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so cool.
And then he screams at her, and she's like, "Hi, Ted." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like that's kind of like Man Thing. I'm like I feel like they hit that hard. I'm like I didn't expect as much of him in that movie as there was. I was happy to see it. Like I'm happy to see more of that going forward, and more of like Werewolf by Night really only shows up at the end, like the monster, you know, and he whoops that ass in that whole room. But spoilers. And I want to see more of him too. Like and I thought the actor who played him, like he did good. Like I enjoyed it. I would say, yeah.
Practical effects too. Yeah. They did the werewolf in practical, which
they did a transformation off screen, right?
They did,
but that's okay. We've seen werewolf transformations.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if that was the breaking point for the budget.
I imagine it was
because I mean
they spent money on Man Thing, obviously.
They spent some money on Man Thing, and that's where it went. But it's also that's also part of like those old horror movies. Is that a lot of time they don't show the monster, and that might be part of it too. Is they didn't want to show all that, this early in it, but that if they do this again next year, they better do
they show transformation. I mean, the way they did it was cool, like with the shadow reflecting on her when she's stuck in the cage with him. Spoilers, we're going full spoilers, I guess. And it's good. I enjoyed it. I want more.
I think they captured that tone of those old school horror movies very well. And they did it in black and white. And the director, Michael Giacchino, he has said that Marvel was not convinced that they were going to let him do this. He shot it in color and in black and white. And he had it on a monitor there so that he could watch how it would appear on both, so that they could make sure, like, we don't know if Marvel's gonna give the go on this. And he said he had to submit 3 different versions of it until they finally gave him the go-ahead to do it in black and white.
Really?
Yeah. This is also his first time directing.
Really, he did a great job, I thought.
He did. And I think that had a lot to do with it, too. I don't know how many versions, these directors have to submit generally. But I think he killed it. I think it was great. I think it captured exactly what he wanted it to capture. The practical effects, the old school horror, all those things,
The monsters, like, existing in that world. They show in the beginning clip, they show Wendigo. Why can't I say that word? Wendigo.
Yes.
Wendigo. Like, okay, I don't know. But they show, like, one of those in, like, the tapestry at the very beginning. I'm like, that's, the first appearance of the Hulk, he fights one of those, with Wolverine or whatever. It was Wolverine's first appearance. Never mind. So, yeah, I loved it. There was one performance I wasn't a huge fan of. I thought it was a bit over the top.
The older woman?
Yeah. I thought she was kind of, like, too far over the top. But otherwise, I thought it was perfect.
Fair enough. Okay. Did you have anything else for Werewolf by Night?
Want more.
Yeah, me too.
I want a lot more.
Do you think they'll do it if they do another one? If they do a Halloween special next year, do you think it'll be in black and white?
I hope so. I almost hope it's not him, though, you know what I mean? Like, go to, like, another character that could use the spotlight on him. Even, like, introduce, like, because Dracula's a character in Marvel Comics. Introduce Dracula.
Yeah.
Give us him.
That could be cool. It would fit right in with those old school monsters.
And, like, Werewolf by Night and Dracula fight in the comics quite a bit, so...
Do they have a, like, Frankenstein-type character in the comics,
They
too?
do.
Yeah?
They do. They also have a living mummy. He's pretty cool. They have a
I have been saying
creature from Black Lagoon type character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been saying that I want to see a mummy movie. And imagine if Marvel made a mummy movie. Give the keys of the castle to the director and the person who did the score for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And have them do something like that. So good.
I mean, that, because like Werewolf by Night's kind of obscure. They could do the Living Mummy next year. I'd be on board for that. Why not?
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, I wanted to check in on Beast because last episode you did a review. I've seen it now because I did a month of Peacock so that I could, and I liked it. I think that a lot of what you said made sense.
Yeah.
The scene you called out with the daughter,
yeah,
when she was like, they're literally being hunted by a lion, and she takes an opportunity to take some shots at her dad, completely out of nowhere. What I thought was also funny though is the other sister calls her on it, and she's like, "Why don't you shut the hell up?"
But still, yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny. So here are my thoughts on the movie. It is very predictable. Super predictable.
Oh yeah, you knew how it was gonna end 10 minutes in.
Also, yes. Also very far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
But with those things being said, it's also very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an edge-of-your-seat thing.
Yeah.
They introduce a lot of characters in it that they don't introduce in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But basically they become lion fodder.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very, like, it's an edge-of-your-seat thriller. You know, like, I was pretty into it.
You had a good time with it.
Yeah, it was a very good time. So I recommend anybody see it. It's just like you said. Like, I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah. The stealth lion part though, that's a little, like you were talking about the far-fetched, where like there's just like dead bodies in the jungle with the lion killed quietly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That scene where he's like hunting through like the water and everything.
Yeah, it's very good.
That was a very good scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all I got for Beast. So the final thing I wanted to finish off this episode with is taking a little time to talk about Halloween. Okay. Because you saw Halloween Ends.
I did.
So I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. No spoilers because I have not seen it yet. Okay. I would imagine a lot of people haven't yet because it literally came out yesterday.
Okay. My feelings on the movie without getting into what about it I didn't like, what really was like rubbed me the wrong way with it is that I went in there, you know, you go to a Halloween movie, you go there to see him and her, you know? Yeah. And not enough of that in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. And like there's a certain point where like there's like a long part of the movie where I like eventually I just like turned to the person I was with, I'm like, what movie are we watching? And she's like, I don't know. And like there's just a lot of that in there where like there's almost a disinterest in telling the story that I am there to see. That I'm trying to stay vague with it, and I just like halfway through I was checked out. Like I did not care. I don't have any desire to watch it again. I'll say.
That's too bad.
Like I said, like I'm glad I paid money to see Beast. I'm annoyed that I paid money to see Halloween Ends last night.
I still have that Peacock subscription till the end of the month, so I'm not going to have to pay money to see it.
Lucky. That's the best way to see it. I want you to watch it, and I want to see if you, so I can actually tell you the exact points that made me go, why? Yeah. You know, because, I paid my money for something, and I got something else, and I did not enjoy it. So, that's my review. Thumbs down, I would say.
Okay. I think next year for the Halloween special, we should watch all of the Halloween movies leading up to that, including Halloween Ends.
Okay. So
that you're going to have to watch it again. We talked about doing that this year, but time got away from us.
I think that's the franchise to do it with, too. I feel like that's the most, because like the slasher genre, Halloween is the one.
Yeah, that's where they all kind of started. Mm. What I think is interesting about the Halloween franchise now is that you've got different paths you can take depending on how you want the franchise to go. So you can go I mean, like Halloween 3 literally is like a thing all its own.
Completely itself, yeah.
Skip 3 because it's got nothing to do with Michael Myers. For any background on that, John Carpenter initially was going to create the Halloween franchise as an anthology. Each year was going to be a different story.
Mm-hmm.
The studio really liked the Michael Myers story, so it made him do Halloween 2. Right. And then after Halloween 2, he was going to go back and stick with this Halloween anthology, but it didn't quite work.
It didn't quite work, yeah.
A lot of people say that Season of the Witch deserves a rewatch.
Yeah. I watched as a kid, and I was one of the ones who was like, where's Michael Myers? This is garbage. And then I watched it a few years back, and I'm like, it's not that bad.
Yeah. So one path you can take is Halloween 1, then 2, and then 4 and 5.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry.
And I don't think this sticks
No.
with that. So that's where you would end it, would be 5. The Return of Michael Myers, then The Curse of Michael Myers. Yeah. Another path you could take is 1, then 2, then H2O.
Yeah.
That's the path I like the best because I love H2O. That's why I have the
H2O's
VHS
fantastic,
here. Yet another path. So that's where the franchise ends. That path.
You don't go Busta Rhymes?
No, I don't. I refuse to acknowledge that. So that's why that's the path.
Okay.
So another path would be 1, 2, H2O, then Resurrection, because Resurrection's a follow up to H2O, but it's awful.
Terrible.
It's a complete piece of garbage. It betrays everything that was good about H2O, and it's terrible. Another path you could take is 1, then Halloween 2018, then Halloween Kills, then Halloween Ends. And that seems to be the path that you don't like the most.
My path on that one would be 1, then Halloween 2018, and then stop. He dies in that basement. That would be my path. Sorry, that would be. And then another path you could take is the Rob Zombie path, which you can have fun with that.
Yeah, I did like the first one.
First
that
one
he
was
did,
decent,
and he released like a unrated director's cut of that, and it is better.
Yeah.
Because I think the big thing it has going for it is his escaping from the mental hospital makes more sense in the director's cut. The second one, I have no idea what's
just
happening.
A mess.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on here? And that was the end of that for him.
Yeah.
He never should have made the second one.
He wanted to, be honest with you. They threw a bunch of money at him, and he had to, pretty much.
Yeah. I also hear that the director's cut of that is better, but I don't know. I doubt it that much.
I don't have the wherewithal to put myself through it, I don't think.
You're gonna have to.
You're gonna make me watch the director's cut too?
Yes.
God. Okay.
We're going to include the Rob Zombie movies in this.
Yeah, not the director cut too.
Well, I mean, I guess we would. But we would have to make that choice of like, are we doing the director's cuts? If we're
gonna watch the Rob Zombie movies again, we'll have to do the director cut, I guess.
Yeah, opposed to the studio version. I think that's the way we should go. But
yeah, I'm in for that. We got a whole year to plan that out.
Halloween H2O is an extremely tight movie too.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I think it's. Let's look. I bet it's like 92 minutes.
It's
long.
not much.
86 minutes long.
Fantastic.
And so it's a quick watch, but it's very good because they use their time properly.
LL Cool J's in it. He's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams.
Yep. That lady.
Yep, whoever she is. Janet Leigh's in it.
Oh yeah, her actual mother,
who
was in Psycho. I don't know if people know that, but Jamie Lee Curtis's mom was Janet Leigh, who was in Psycho. So it's kind of funny how that works.
You know what she's in? The Fog.
That's speaking of bad remakes.
Yeah,
it's a terrible remake.
So I remember not even really liking The Fog when I first saw it, but because I thought it was kind of boring. On rewatch, like 15 years later, because I think I was like 15 when I watched it, it's pretty good. Janet Leigh is
the
in
original
that too.
you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the original. The remake is absolute.
It's got the kid from the Superman TV show. It's bad. And
it's got the girl from Liam Neeson's daughter in Taken.
Maggie Grace. I don't know why I know that, but yes.
Yeah.
She's in that?
Yeah.
God, I just remember it sucking. I don't remember much about it at all. Just being bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
I will say, because I crapped out on Halloween Ends if you are looking for a good time, like Halloween era scary movie to go watch right now, I went and saw Smile in the movie theater as well. And I went on that based on just like the YouTube trailers. Like I only saw like the 10-second little clips. I'm like, all right, I'm in. And I went there blind, and I enjoyed it. I would say if you're gonna go watch a scary movie this time of year, that's out in the theaters right now, Smile's my recommendation.
All right,
I liked it.
I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah. Like I went in there thinking like it's gonna be like a kind of like a disease thing, like people get like infected and like they get the smiles, you know. It was like a demon thing, like kind of like a psychological thing. It was good. I was very impressed with it. Relies a little bit too much on jump scares and like you know like the loud noise to like make you move, kind of like a little too much on that, but it's good.
You know what I started yesterday? Midnight Club.
What is that?
The new Mike Flanagan thing. So Mike Flanagan did The Haunting of Hill House, then The Haunting of Bly Manor, then Midnight Mass, and these have all been part of his Netflix contract that he does these Halloween things with.
Yeah.
Midnight Club is the newest version of that, not to be confused with the video game. And
oh yeah, it's a racing game.
Yeah, I watched the first episode only, and it was pretty good. They have a joke in there about jump scares. So they're telling a story, and in the story, they do like 20 jump scares, and somebody starts making fun of the person because they're relying so much on jump scares.
It is unfortunate when it happens.
Yeah. So I do think that. So I'll do a full review once I finish the show.
Yep.
But so far, the first episode was really good.
All right, remind me of this because I'll forget. Send me a message to watch it.
Will do.
Mike Flanagan, you brought him up, and my brain jogged to a movie he did a few years back.
Hush.
You watch Hush?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's very good.
You guys haven't seen Hush, that's worth a watch as well.
Yeah, the girl that's in it is in all of those things I just mentioned.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's his wife.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if they were married when they made Hush, but they are now. So
yeah, worked out for her.
Did you see Midnight Mass?
No.
It's very good. Another one that I would recommend.
Did he do Dr. Sleep too?
He did.
Yeah. This guy's...
Dr. Sleep was really good.
All right, I gotta watch these other things. I have liked what he's done that I've seen.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for our Halloween special. And hopefully I've got enough time to do a couple more of these before Halloween rolls around. But if I don't, well then, thank you for joining me for this, and I'll see you next year.
Bye, everybody.